Support for Donnybrook Last Call is provided in part by Design Air Heating and Cooling.
Hey, we're back on YouTube. Thanks for checking this out. Sarah, okay. Beavis Shot. You know, we hear that name, all right?
It's a great name.
It's a great name. And two, I was thinking like, now that's Charlie's boy. That was, you know, handled his assault on the legal system. Just kidding. But anyway, he's part of a suit to stop funding of the Royals, Chiefs, and in a backward way, the Cardinals here. Any chance this one find some success?
The lawyers I've talked to actually think this could succeed. This is a legal challenge that Beavis and Eric Veith have filed on behalf of some legislators who say that the way that SB 3, which would give all this money to the Kansas City sports teams, and the Cardinals would also qualify for down the line, that this violates the Missouri Constitution. And there's, of course, the big, sexy alleged violation, which is that you can't give state money to private citizens. I appreciate that they've raised this issue. Let's face it, that ship has sailed. Every state across the union loves to give away our money to billionaires. But where they may have them is on this technical aspect of the law that a bill can only have a single subject. Seems crazy. Why do we care about that? Well, it's in state law that we do care about it. And this bill, in addition to funding stadiums, also did some stuff that had to do with property tax relief. Those are clearly two different subjects. Some people I'm talking to are saying this could be enough to topple this entire funding package.
And there was a third.
It's also, it's supposed to have a very clear title, and the title was just like something to do with taxes or something like that.
But
so, very vague.
Another great tax idea.
I'm not getting that precisely right.
And the fact that it's sort of that, you know, we should call it the neener, you know, SB 3, because no blues, no city. You're not entitled. It's just the big, you know, just the quarterback of the football team and the cheerleader. You know, that I think makes it even worse.
They picked winners, and they picked only the biggest.
Only the biggest. Yeah. Only the biggest.
Right. Yeah. Well, now, no stadium bill, no tornado money, possibly.
Well, no, those are separate bills.
All right, okay.
So
it was all part.
They signed off on that tornado money, like no backsies.
I went, you know, you go through this. I'm glad they found reasons, but in the article that you had, to me it said where Beavis Shock, a libertarian, which I'm all for that, basically is opposed to all these bills, and anybody who's seen me on the show, I am also opposed to all these bills. So whatever reason any attorney can find to stop public financing, public tax dollars going to private owners of sports teams, I'm all for it.
Okay, you said, you know, this stadium, where every state's giving away money to billionaires, it seems like every state, or at least their airport, has got Turo service. Now, I didn't know what a Turo was because I said, this Uber thing, ain't nobody gonna do that. So, yeah, you know, that's why I'm here and not in a skyscraper in San Francisco someplace. So, you know, I guess people can rent their cars. Would you rent a car from a stranger in a parking lot and then drive it around? I mean, is this a good idea? You're young, Sarah. Tell me.
This is also the home city of enterprise.
Right.
And, you know, they are not going to look kindly on any effort to take business.
Well, and they have not. That's kind of how we're here. You know, this has been going on subterfugeously since 2018. So I guess the question is not, would we let other people drive our car, but more, would other people let us drive their cars? And apparently lots of people are doing this, and they're doing it out of the St. Louis airport. So they now have this agreement that has just passed the airport commission. And it was because people like Enterprise were saying, hey, these guys, they're using this prime turf. They're not paying any of these fees that we pay. So I think it's great to see this agreement. It's nice to see new tech prosper, even if I myself would not be willing to drive someone else's stinky car. But it's like, we better get some fees out of this.
And Rhonda Hamm-Nabrugi says that it's just for a year, right? It's kind of like
contract.
A trial. Yeah, just a trial. I don't know. There's a Silence of the Lambs, serial killer van kind of, you know, up here that I would not jump in. I'd probably find the car with all the Cheetos and chicken nuggets like under the seat. No, thank you. Enterprise all the way.
Yeah. As soon as they mention the legacy companies, you know, which are the Hertz and Enterprise.
Right.
I thought, I like legacy companies.
Yes, yes.
We're legacy media.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but you have you had a company to complain to.
Yeah.
Now, if there's a problem with the car, I got to call Gary and go, hey, Gary, it's a little shaky here
windshield wiper
when I
fluid.
try to start it,
Right.
and there doesn't seem to be any juice in the windshield wiper thing. And yeah, I think I would question, taking some stranger's car. I also would have a problem renting me a car. I mean, it's like you don't know. But I am glad that if this is still going on, that the airport's at least getting some money out of it, because we can always, kind of look with disdain at the large companies, but they're paying the freight to be there. And so the idea that some other company is out there not paying the freight, that's just not fair either. So
Ask
let's
the
hope it works
cabbies.
out.
Yeah.
Hope it works out.
Okay, and then the city gets 10% of whatever the haul is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now where Enterprise and the other legacy, I guess, rental car companies is, it sounds to me like Turo is like out in the pasture someplace, but you could still catch a shuttle.
Well, yeah,
But how does that work?
They're allowed
Just
to
for-
be in any of the parking garages other than that one that you can just trot over from the terminal. They're no longer going to be allowed to be in A, but they can be in like B, C, and D. And under this agreement, they can just use the plain airport shuttles. They don't have to have their own like the rental car companies have. So there are some things where they're getting some decent treatment out of this, but it also kind of makes sense. They don't need their own terminal. It's not like Enterprise where they've had to build this whole elaborate structure. It is more of a niche thing at this point, but look what happened to Airbnb.
And also, they start making deals on the side. It's sort of like Berlitz language. You start
Right.
take a language course and you realize that you're paying $18 an hour and the teacher's making $6. And so pretty soon you say, why don't we just cut Berlitz out?
Yeah.
And that's what these companies are going to do. You're going to talk to Gary.
Yeah.
And he's going to say, hey, I'll just meet you in the garage.
That's right.
But is
Yeah, what could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
in terms, since you are our youth correspondent at the youth desk, is this going to?
There's some youths out there
Will
that-
this improve our image?
I think if we had stopped it, which the Board of Aldermen was trying to do at one point, I think this would have hurt our image.
Okay.
It's kind of like what happened with Uber and Lyft when St. Louis was like, we are going to throw down, we are going to stop this, we're going to protect
We're
these
gonna
taxi
bury you."
companies. And
Yeah.
meanwhile, transplants like me who moving to the city are like, why is the taxi service here so terrible? Like, we needed to let this technology in. And so it's good they found a framework where we can get our cut.
Okay.
And I think, at the end of the day, the thing that government keeps ignoring but always stays true, if the business is well run, it'll be fine.
Right.
If it's not, people won't use it. And
Survival of the fittest.
they'll go back to Enterprise and Hertz and Avon. They'll go back and do it. So it's up to Turo to make it work, and the city will get some money out of it.
Okay. Well, let's stay with planes, trains, and automobiles. And Bill, somebody told me a story, said the hardest they had laughed at while watching Donnybrook, this is a few years ago, was when you said, how are we going to run a super speed train from here to Kansas City? We can't run a trolley from the loop to
Missouri history.
And I had forgotten about that. I just heard that the other day.
Forgotten about that.
So anyway, the state wants to increase bus travel, throughout our state. And I guess, from here, you can just go anywhere in the world, or at least in the continental United States on a bus. So a shout out to Greyhound. I don't think Continental Trailways is around anymore, but I had to figure it out. I think the last time I was actually on a Greyhound bus was when I was an intern in Cincinnati. And actually, I had gone to Washington, D.C., and I caught the bus from Washington, D.C. back to Lawrence, Kansas, and I swore that was the last time I was ever getting on a bus, and I've held to that promise. So, bus travel around the state, should it be increased, or is that a dinosaur and we should be doing something else?
Well, it's maybe vans or something. Like in Arizona, you can always catch something from Phoenix to Tucson. And here it's either the bus or the train. I prefer to the bus.
I think buses are a great equalizer, and I think we've been on here, and I believe Sarah and I have agreed when it comes to the city. Everybody talks about MetroLink. There should just be more buses. The idea of where you can just hop on a bus. It's only in St. Louis. A lot of other places, there's a lot of people who use buses. But in St. Louis, it's like, I don't go on the bus because I own a car. I mean, there's kind of a arrogance to it.
Yeah.
I think we should have more bus routes, and the idea that someone in St. Louis who can't afford to fly to Kansas City can get on a bus at a nice rate, take the bus to Kansas City, kick around for a day or two at a reasonable rate. Let's give it a try. I mean, I think buses are just one of those things that sort of the everyman can use. And, you know, I hope they do it well, and I hope it's successful, because I think then it opens up traveling to a whole lot of people now who are going, well, I can't afford the transportation, or my car won't make it.
I think this is a great idea, especially with the way airlines are just pulling out of the middle of the country. It's almost impossible to get from one Midwest city to the other. They're down to like one route, if that. You know, I don't think you can get a flight to Cincinnati at this point. It's crazy. And so I think to have these bus routes connecting these sort of smaller cities, mid-tier cities, we need this, you know, for the people who live in these smaller towns. They need a bus that comes through.
Yeah, and the mega bus, I know that was, I don't think that's running anymore.
I think it is.
Oh,
between
is
here and
it? I mean, that
Chicago.
made a huge difference for people, you know, for seniors on a fixed income, and for college students who don't have enough money to do anything. So I agree. I think bus travel is something that we all need to get behind.
I would say my daughter, who went to school in Chicago, I think she caught the mega bus one time. She said, "Dad, I'll take the train, or you'll take me, or I'll walk."
Trains are so nice.
I agree. All right. Hey, thank you for checking us out here on Last Call. Charlie will be back next week. We're going to let him out of jail. So anyway, thank you. Have a great week. And thank you for supporting Donnybrook.